Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it. We'll talk about it inside. Hey scrappers, Tom here from the iScrap app, and today is Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. Happy birthday, Mom. I know that you love these videos because you love following Scrap, but happy birthday. And now we'll get to less important things. But for all of you scrappers that are out there, this was pre-recorded. We'll be doing a question and answer session. But for YouTube members, we have videos that are released only to YouTube members first, weeks in advance. So if you're not a YouTube member, please become one. This way you can check out a lot of the videos that we push out there, learning about the scrap markets, helping you make more money with them. Now, while this is a pre-recorded session, the report link that's going to be under this video is current. We did write that, this morning, quote unquote, but that is live. But with a holiday week, sometimes things get skewed and changed a little bit. But what we're going to do is a big Q&A right now. We're going to answer a bunch of questions that we've been asked, go over some things. If any of these make you come up with more questions, well, that's where these questions came from other scrappers, and we'll get those answers to you in the coming days or weeks. So let's start right off the bat. We'll go with our first question. Coax wire, what is it, and why is it worth so little for scrap? Now, I've been offered coax over the years hundreds, if not thousands of times. Why? It's everywhere. I've been offered dumpsters. I've been offered spools that are brand new, right? Why is it worth anything? Well, when you look at coax, the outside layer is plastic. The next layer is a very thin layer of mesh, which is generally steel. Sometimes it's aluminum, but generally steel. Then after that, you have another layer of plastic. And then right in the middle, there's one little cord, and it looks to be copper. But I've seen maybe once or twice it being copper. It's almost always copper-clad steel. And here's a great example. Here you can see kind of a figure 8 shape with a ground on the outside. This is a rare piece to me where the ground looks to be all copper in the far right. Now, when you look at the other pieces, and if we could scroll in a little bit on that image just to be able to see a little closer, you can see what I started to describe. Plastic, steel, plastic, and then a piece in the middle. Now, this looks to be a very rare piece of coax that actually looks to be copper in the middle. Most of the time, it's copper clad on top of steel, so the copper percentage versus the weight is like less than 1%, but the metal weight overall is like 7%, 10%. So when you have 100 pounds of coax, at best case, you have 10 pounds of steel, considering most coax ends up being steel clad. So that's where you look. But I will say this, I haven't seen it often, but I've seen it enough. There are types of coax that have a jacket, then a copper foil, then another piece of plastic, and then a piece of copper in the middle. Those do exist. Those end up being closer to like a computer wire, Cat5 cross type of, or Cat6 cross type of a thing. So there are different types. My best advice, take your magnet, hang it next to the coax. If it sticks, then there's steel. If your scrapyard lets you throw it in with your steel, that's a win. If you're just trying to sell coax loose, I wouldn't buy it from you. So on a non-ferrous basis, generally not a winning item. Next question. Oh, so we want to improve the iScrap app, and we've been given lots of complaints, right? But that doesn't always help us. We want to know what we can improve. Is it reporting prices, making that easier? Is it less notifications? Is it more notifications? Do you want to have favorites? Do you like how it is? Do you not like how many ads there are? Do you want more ads? Do you want a paid version that doesn't have ads? Is there something that we can give you that helps you make more money with your scrap, whether it's a metal calculator or another avenue to sell material? We've already been able to integrate Rockware Recycling and the catalytic converter division, RR Cats. We've been able to incorporate carbide purchasing through RR Carbide, and also e-scrap purchasing through Rockware Recycling. But if there's other things that you want us to put in the app, that's our job, to make it as good as it can be so you can use it, report your prices all the time. So please comment below.
Some suggestions we've had too is people are looking for like a further history of metal too.
Further history, okay.
Yeah, and then also some people have said that there's not enough prices that are updated regularly for their area.
Okay, so if there's not enough prices in your area, that's another thing. And we want to know, I don't care if it's a repeat comment. These are the things that help fuel us to make the app better for you so you can continue to make more money with it. Next question. High value CPUs. Are older chips worth more? Why is this? Now, CPU chips come in all shapes and sizes, and over Rockware Recycling, we buy all types of e-scrap, so please check that out. Now, in this picture, I'm looking at one of the higher grade CPU chips, and I'll tell you things that I'm looking at and for. Two things right off the bat catch my eye. The gold pins are the first ones. So when I see gold pins on the CPU chips, that means that there's more gold content, because a lot of CPUs are just flat. They're kind of plated on there. Less gold. They might be for laptops, thinner processing units. So I love seeing the pins on here. The second thing that I love is the ceramic. Now, there's a 50-50 chance that on the other side of this chip that it's actually gold. And look at this. We're about to see it. The other side is an Intel high-grade Pentium Pro chip. And these are the second most beautiful ones that you could see. Gold on the back, gold pins on the front. The only thing that would make it better would be having another gold bar in the middle of the pins. Here's where it becomes tough. One chip is not going to weigh a pound. One chip is not going to be resold on eBay. So what do you do when you come up with these different CPUs? Well, Rockware Recycling has different grading categories, but we follow a lot of Reddit boards that look at these, and this is a high value one because it has more gold. What we're seeing nowadays is less ceramic, more plastic, less pins, more plating, and to incorporate more heat absorbing technology, they're putting those little copper tops on as heat sinks. So it makes it heavy, but it doesn't have gold. It has copper, plastic, and a little bit of gold. So it has gold, yes. But this is a much nicer chip, and I really like this one. So, great job. Another question. How do you work with yards that have a no burnt wire stance? What if I obtain the wire legally or through house fires? Now, at Rockware Recycling, we don't buy burnt wire, but generally we know that the customer did it just to burn the casing off, because you'll see the wire, it's in a ball, and it's kind of wrapped together. So think of an extension cord. You wrap it, and then you tie it around the middle. Then they throw it into the fire so it stays together. So that's a telltale sign for me that it was done on purpose. Now, if you came into my yard and said, hey, listen, I know you don't buy burnt wire, but we're doing a demolition of a house that burnt down, and you can explain it to me, I will buy that from you because there's a reason behind it. But before you show up to the scrapyard, you should definitely call them and explain it to them, because sometimes before you show up, you explain the problem, they can alert the people down at the scale. So when the material comes in, they're already warned, and that just makes for more transparency. I will say this. There are some larger scrap yards that are publicly traded that will not take this material regardless of the circumstance, because they would rather not have burnt material in their warehouse for any inspections at all, even if it did come from like a fire. So that could be a problem that you come up with. Another question. Armature from motor. What makes up a motor and what's worth pulling apart? I love this question because electric motors are One of the most underutilized items to be able to make more money on, but that's because they're so hard to take apart. So here you see an armature, and what you can see is some windings around it. You see a little copper plating on the right-hand side. That's where the windings are beginning, and then they go through, they wrap around, they shoot through the other side. So when you take electric motors apart, things to keep in mind. On average, if you have 100 pounds of electric motors, you're going to get between 12 and 18 pounds of copper if you take them apart. So just think about that. If copper is $3, that's $36 to $54 in number 2 copper you could pull out, where you might sell 100 pounds of motors at 30 cents a pound. So yes, you could make more money by pulling these out. But things you need to think about: how long does it take? What tools do you need? How many motors do you have to take apart? Do you have one or do you have 100? Because quantities do matter when you're setting up your tooling. So when I look at a motor, you have steel and you have copper. But unfortunately, a lot of the motors that we're seeing from household products are coming with aluminum windings. So before you go and start taking these things apart really closely and dissecting them, use that file, check out some of the videos that we've put online before so you can learn about the difference between aluminum and copper windings and give us the ability to make money on the right metals, taking them apart instead of just any other ones. So thanks for that question. So scrappers, any other questions that you have for me, please let me know. We're going to answer them in the next week or so, or we'll do another one of these sessions. Please tell us the comments and ideas on things that we can do to improve the iScrap app. We're always open to ideas, especially ones that help make our products better. Today is Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. This was pre-recorded, but our report is live, so check that out. Any questions? We'll be live again next week. My name's Tom from the iScrap app. Until next week, I'll scrap you later.